Hi everyone, it's Lauren Stark with Elite Realty and thanks for tuning in today. Today's video is all about June 2022's housing market update. Are sellers having FOMO? Is the housing market going to crash? Is the housing market just normalizing? So many conflicting rationales out there regarding the current market shift. How is one to make any sense of it? As a top producing agent who's been selling real estate in Las Vegas since the late 90s, I'm here to share the current number and trends that we are seeing, but also to tell you what I am personally seeing on the ground here in Las Vegas, and also share with you a few other perspectives to take into consideration when trying to make heads or tails of the current housing market. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing I'd like to mention, and something that nobody is really talking about regarding the current housing market, is it's an election year. We have midterm elections coming up. Historically, for both midterm and presidential elections, there is a little bit of uncertainty in the housing market. And given our very polarized political state that we are currently in, this year is absolutely no different. So, really something to take into perspective when talking about a housing market looming crash. Let's talk about numbers. So last month in my market report update, I mentioned the fact that I receive a market report from Credit Suisse, which goes over all the major housing markets in the United States. I also looked at the data from our current local MLS from the Las Vegas Realtors Association, as well as market reports from the title company to share these trends that I'm seeing with you. No surprise, inventory is up everywhere and sales velocity is down. The other newsworthy mention is that for the first time since April of 2020, we had a drop in our median home price. May, the median home price was $482,000. In June, that number dropped to $480,000. So we dropped $2,000 in our median home price. But I want to put things in perspective for you guys. 2021 was a record year for the Las Vegas Valley with over 50,000 sales on record. So it's no surprise that sales velocity is down. And I think many of us agents are actually happy that it's a little bit calmer these days. The other thing that I want to put into perspective is the median home price in June of 2021 was $395,000. We're still up 21.5%. Let me just walk you through these numbers of our median home price since the beginning of 2022. January, median home price, $435,000. February, median home price, $450,000. March, median home price, $460,000. April, median home price, $475,000. May, median home price, $482,000. June, median home price, $480,000. I mean, these home prices just could not sustain to go up month over month over month over the rate that they've been going. I mean, it's like the gas prices. It's just like no end in sight. You know, what's interesting is my parents actually own a home in Carlsbad, California. And in 1 month, Zillow had estimated the price increase from the month prior by over $100,000. I mean, that's crazy. Home prices don't normally go up by this amount month over month over month. Everyone is wanting to compare the slowdown in the housing market to the crash of 2008 and wanting to know if something similar is going to happen. But we need to look back over the past 2 years and realize that nothing about these past 2 years was normal. We had COVID, which was something that nobody from baby boomers to millennials to Gen Xers have ever experienced in their lives, with the lockdowns and the business closures and the school closures and the work from home. That sparked a mass state to state migration, especially with the low interest rates that were out there to keep the economy afloat. And housing became more important than ever, especially when people had to work from home, or people had to have space to homeschool their kids, or people were just generally stuck at home. The house became so important. So we had this mass state-to-state migration that created these extremely low supply levels and also created shortages in materials and labor and lumber, which sparked the price increase of everything across the board. We didn't have inventory level shortages like we have now back in 2008. Speaking of inventory, let's chat about that for a moment. In May, we had a 1.6 month supply of inventory. In June, we had a 2.2 month supply of inventory. So definitely more inventory on the market, but not an earth-shattering number of inventory or homes being put on the market. It's definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on and going to have to watch, because if the inventory goes from 2 months to 4 months to 8 months, then that will be a completely different scenario and a different picture. I did receive the market report from the title company for the week of July 11th. And obviously the numbers that I'm talking about are for the month of June, because we go back a month, we have to see the month in full. And we are still in a very strong seller's market index. That index level has dropped, but anything above 50 is considered a seller's market, which we are still in. Some sellers are definitely having FOMO because they didn't cash out when their neighbors did, and they're putting their homes on the market to try to capitalize on the equity that they've built over the past 2 years. We are seeing some price reductions. What we are not seeing is the verbiage that we saw a few months ago with multiple offers, highest and best due by a certain date. I am now just starting to see some verbiage. Motivated sellers would like to sell. I'm starting to see some flippers who jumped on the game very quickly and are now offering $25,000 buyer incentives. This is for $1 million and up properties to buy down the interest rates. So we're starting to see sellers be a little bit more realistic and aggressive in their pricing approach. Another noteworthy thing to mention is that days on market is still pretty low. 86% of properties are selling within 30 days or less. That is a very strong number. Usually in a normal market, we have 4 to 6 months supply of inventory, and homes will sit on the market between 90 and 120 days. So the fact that we're still seeing many properties sell within 21 days or less is a really positive indicator of our market. Let me just give you 2 examples. Number 1, I took a listing in a non-HOA community on a very large lot for Vegas. It was a 23,000 square foot lot, single story with a pool and no HOA. So you could put your boat, you could put your RV, you could have cars and trucks, and you can do whatever you want with the property. I had multiple offers on that property. The seller was smart, accepted the best one quickly, didn't play games. And after I put that property under contract, I had multiple agents call me after the fact wanting to submit backup offers on this home in particular. I could have sold that home 10 times over. Number 2 example is I had a condo listed for sale at the Martin. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you know I love the Martin. This particular unit was a very desirable floor plan on the perfect floor level in the building, 23rd floor, beautiful views. Again, sold that property within a few days of listing it for sale. After I had put it under contract in the MLS, several agents reached out to me after the fact, wanting me to let them know if the property did fall out of escrow to please give them the call. Their buyer was really sad and upset that they had missed seeing it come on the market. So there is still activity out there, but it is definitely property and location specific. I do want to touch on that point briefly, because if you are wanting to buy in this market now, whether you're looking to buy a resale home or a new home, it is really important that you have an experienced and knowledgeable agent who is really genuinely working on your behalf. Something that I learned a long time ago when I first started selling real estate is you make your money on the way in. So you always want to buy a property with an exit strategy in mind. I have worked with so many savvy real estate investors over the years, and trust me when I tell you that a knowledgeable and good real estate agent is going to want to sell you a property that they know you're going to come back to them to sell that property in a couple years, and they make money and you make money. Buy buy, sell, and repeat. Long-standing successful realtors don't get to where they are by selling you under the river. They definitely want to make sure that they sell you a property in which they can resell a few years down the road. That way, everyone makes money and everyone is happy. According to some, the market is going to crash. We have record inflation. Gas prices are high, food prices are high, housing prices are high, rent prices are high. It doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. The stock market and crypto market also had a really rough patch a couple of months ago, so naturally everyone thinks the housing market is next. We're definitely going to see a correction in some of our housing prices here in Vegas. Certain properties that really have nothing unique or special about them or don't sit on a great lot. Some of these sellers really were greedy and asking way too much money. I would look at the MLS and I would look at these pictures and I would look at these properties and I'd say, wow, good for them if they get that, but I would never sell my buyer that property. So we're definitely going to see a correction on certain properties across the valley. For those of you who think a crash is coming or are very nervous about the real estate market, then now might not be the time for you to buy. According to others, the market is simply stabilizing after 24 months of straight appreciation. I am of that mindset. Our inventory levels are now just getting back to normal, which is a really good thing for a healthy market. Plus, the jobs report that was released last month was very positive. And the other positive thing is that interest rates dipped back down from the high fives to the low fives. The other thing that we have to account for is rent prices. We still have an extreme shortage of rental properties here in the Las Vegas Valley, and rental prices have gotten so expensive. So if you are in the market to buy and you are relocating here, you will definitely have to weigh what it costs to rent versus what your mortgage payment will be. So you can either pay someone else's mortgage or pay your own mortgage. Things to watch for in this market. Given the fact that it is an election year, that creates uncertainty. And one thing that buyers don't like in any market is uncertainty. The other thing that we're going to have to really be mindful of is the inventory levels. So right now we're at 2.2 months supply, which is great, right? We needed more inventory. However, if the inventory levels keep building from 2 months to 4 months to 6 months to 10 months and they compound, then we will be in a completely different market situation. So we're going to have to see if those inventory levels kind of level off and streamline a bit. New home builders want your business. They're going to offer more incentives. And I think some of these ridiculous lot premiums that we're seeing on certain projects across the valley, that's where you're going to see the prices come down, will be on the lot premiums. And you also might be able to negotiate some incentives towards your options. The luxury home market, there's a lot of inventory in that sector. It used to be where it would take about a year or more to sell a luxury home. We may start going back to those days where the luxury homes sit on the market a little bit longer. One thing about Las Vegas, and the reason that I remain bullish on Las Vegas, is have any of you flown into Las Vegas recently? We are spread from mountain to mountain and we are so developed. There's really no buildable land left here, which goes back to the simple supply and demand factor, plus being a no state income tax state. I know I'm going to get some comments about the water situation here in Las Vegas. I just posted a video about that. I will post that here and also in the description box in the link below. If you're purchasing for speculation to make a quick return, or perhaps you think you're going to relocate to a different state within 1 to 3 years, then you may want to wait. But for those who look at real estate as an asset added to their long-term portfolio plans, there are realistic sellers and there are some really good opportunities out there currently in our real estate market. I hope you found my perspective on the June 2022 housing market interesting. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye for now.